Hello and welcome to the last lesson of the Ultimate Pronunciation course. Today we're going to learn how to pronounce the suffixes s, es, ed when they are added to root words. Also, we'll use thought groups to learn how to pause when speaking English. Are you ready? Let's get started with the first one, pronouncing s and es. Before learning how to pronounce these suffixes, we need to revise the voiced and unvoiced sounds. When you pronounce unvoiced sounds, there's no vibration in your vocal cords. On the other hand, when pronouncing the voiced sounds, you should feel slight vibrations. Please look at the IPA chart if you don't remember which sound is voiced or unvoiced. The sounds in light green are unvoiced. How do voiced and unvoiced sounds relate to s, es, and ed? When an s or es follows an unvoiced sound such as t, k, and p, it is pronounced s, which is also an unvoiced sound. For example, books, stops, cats. When an s or es follows a voiced sound such as d, g, or a vowel, it is pronounced z, which is also a voiced sound. For example, needs, bags, and goes. Ultimately, voiced sounds go together with voiced sounds, and unvoiced sounds go together with unvoiced sounds. However, when an s or es is added after a sibilant sound such as s, z, sh, ch, zh, and j, it is pronounced as is. For example, bosses, watches, and bridges. Okay, what about ed? How do you pronounce it? Let's find out together. When ed follows an unvoiced sound, it's pronounced t. For example, stopped, looked, and washed. In contrast, when ed is added after a voiced sound, it is pronounced d. For example, closed, traveled, and loved. However, if ed follows the d or t sound, it's pronounced id. Listen, needed, wanted, and lifted. That's all for the pronunciation of s, es, and ed. Let's move on to the thought groups. A thought group is a word or a meaningful group of words. We use thought groups when we want to pause in a long sentence or break it down into smaller units to make it easier to understand. There are two ways to identify thought groups within a sentence. Firstly, you can recognize it by punctuation, such as a comma in written language. When listening, seek pauses before and after the thought groups. Look at this sentence. Where should you pause? Remember, pauses with thought groups also depend on your purpose of communication, so there is more than one way to divide a sentence into thought groups. Here is our suggested answer. Tom always wears the most expensive suits, but he never looks smart. Please say it after me. Tom always wears the most expensive suits, but he never looks smart. Let's try another one. Where do you pause? We can pause after umbrella. We had better take an umbrella in case it rains. Now listen again and repeat after me. We had better take an umbrella in case it rains. I believe you've learned a lot in this lesson. Now you know how to pronounce S, ES, and ED, and use thought groups to pause in a sentence. Let's get to the fun part, applying the rules to more words and practicing them in sentences and paragraphs. Have fun in the next video. Bye-bye.